Good morning, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project, Magnetic Reversal News, and Shinrin Yoku, bringing you a grand solar minimum update Monday, October 3rd, around 1 p.m. Mountain Time 2022. The sun is quite active, multiple M flares and an X1 flare kicking off in the last 36 hours. These are going to add up, and they're headed towards Earth. We also have some snow in the forecast. But the big story, Florida faces an emotional roller coaster as the search for survivors of Hurricane Ian continues and the death toll rises. Keep calm. It's boom time. Now, the death toll has risen to 88 people today from the Cat 4 storm. That number will continue to rise throughout the week as the destruction is so widespread. It's going to take a long time to get to a lot of these places. Now, luckily, it won't even make it into the top 10 for deadliest hurricanes. Here we're looking at the deadliest storms in Florida history, and topping the list is Okeechobee in 1928 with over 2,500 dead. The Okeechobee hurricane of 1928 is also known as the San Felipe II hurricane. It was one of the deadliest hurricanes in the recorded history of the North Atlantic Basin, and the fourth deadliest hurricane in United States, only behind the 1990 Galveston and the 1998, can't read that. So here are the other top winners. The only named one is 1935 Labor Day storm, the most intense Atlantic hurricane to make landfall on record in terms of pressure, and tied with Hurricane Dorian in 2019 for the strongest landfalling Atlantic hurricane. 409 deaths associated with the Labor Day, 372 with the Miami hurricane, and 240 with the Florida Keys hurricane back in 1906. So this won't make it into the top 10, which is good news. And this also goes against the narrative that storms are getting stronger and deadlier, because it won't even fall into the top 10. And the most recent of these occurring in 1928. So storms were clearly much more deadly in antiquity here in Florida. Now let's check out the power outages. There are still 589,000 without power in Florida, and the majority of those in the landfall area. Charlotte County, the hardest hit there, still over half the people without power. Lee County, about the same, half without power. As the linesmen there are doing a fantastic job getting millions of people's power back on in the Sunshine State. One thing they're having trouble with is water. There are boil water notices coming from Florida Health. There are many counties that are involved in the boil water notices, so we're going to leave you links to the boil water notices for Florida to stay safe so you don't get sick. And take a look at the length of this list: Lee County, Hillsborough, Hardy, DeSoto, Collier, Charlotte, Lake, Manatee, Marion, Miami-Dade, Okeechobee, Orange, Osceola, Pasco, Polk, Sarasota, Seminole, Sumner, and Voluesia. So they all have boil water notices until further notice. And you can use this site to check on comments and the dates when rescinded. Very few have been rescinded. Only one in Collier that I can see. Now, we also have another tropical system. Orlean was a hurricane, Cat 3, made landfall, now sitting at about Cat 1 at the latest update, which showed 75 mile per hour. There it is, Cat 1. It is now onshore, making landfall near Mazatlan. Maximum sustained winds now 75 miles per hour. And there is the position of Orlean, expected to lose intensity quite rapidly as it moves inland and over the mountains here. Now, here you can check the Safford-Simpson scale of hurricane winds and see that when that made landfall, it was about 115 miles per hour. That's a Cat 3 storm. And now it's at 75 miles per hour. That's the minimum of a Cat 1 storm. And you can look at this Safford-Simpson wind scale that will be linked below. There are two other areas that we are monitoring out here in the Atlantic. Disturbance number 2 has a 30% chance of cyclone formation, but it is going to track to the south here towards Nicaragua and not threaten the United States. Disturbance number 1 will probably become a hurricane out here in the mid-Atlantic and move up and threaten the Azores and then Europe in about a week. So heads up there. Now, there are a variety of weather hazards to start off the week here. In central Florida, there's ongoing major to record river flooding across a couple of river basins, and it's expected to continue well into the week and will be quite slow to recede in the wake of Ian. Now, locally heavy to excessive rain is possible along the immediate mid-Atlantic coast, with elevated fire weather conditions expected in the Central Plains. It will be warm in the Northwest and the Plains, and the Northeast is going to be chilling down over the coming days, and there is snow in the forecast. Take a look at the top of Wolf Creek Live. Yes, it's snowing there. And so it's been snowing for 2 days up at Wolf Creek. And here you can see lower down on the mountain, there's still some snow down around 10,500 feet. As with the remnants of Ian there, still lingering. And you can see that snow in the forecast up in Canada here coming into the picture, as well as the Northeast, maybe Maine, Vermont, upstate New York picking up a little. There you can see those totals. Let's just walk this through. So this is this weekend, Friday, Saturday, that you could be picking up snow in some of the high country there in New England. And then a second event. And all these events are going to be bringing snow to the Rockies. So that's good news as we look towards the future. Seismic update. No quakes to note. We have some activity here. 5.6 in Mexico, the largest rumbler of note. These look like frac quakes in Kansas. So moving on to worldwide volcano news. Let's just refresh this. This has been open for quite some time here. And we can see that there's normal activity going on, nothing spectacular. Now, Sorik Merapi volcano in Sumatra has some fluctuating activity. This is a potentially dangerous volcano, not for planet Earth, but for local people in the area, as it explodes, typically explodes phreatically. So that means hot water explosions, also strong hydrothermal activity, strong fumaroles at the crater lake. So you don't want to be anywhere near there if there's a large explosion, because the flesh would burn off of your body when you get hit by that hot water. So Sorik Merapi here, we can look at some of the data. It has erupted most recently in 1986 at VEI-1. It also erupts at VEI-2, not a large concern except locally. All the links will be below. As we are keeping our eyes on a big, dangerous sunspot, one of the biggest sunspots in years has just rotated over the sun's northeastern limb. And this is active region 3112. Take a look at that. Dozens of black regions, big sunspot, magnetic complexity is mixing, and there is flaring all across the disk. So let's go take a look at SolarHam real quick. So here we can see the current HMI intensity, and if we click on latest, hopefully it'll pull up the disk for us. It wasn't working earlier, so fingers crossed. Well, it actually didn't pull up the latest, but this is from about 12 hours ago, and we can see that active region 3112 looking quite large, as flaring is occurring from 3110 as well as 3111. So all the sunspots up here in the northern region of the disk are flaring currently, and that is sending some coronal mass ejections our way. The most recent flare, this M flare here, about an M4, I believe, is being modeled here, which is showing a glancing blow. Now, on top of that, we've got several other cannibal CMEs coming out here. 1, 2, cannibalizing. 3, 4. So those are going to give a glancing blow on the 4th. They haven't added the last 2 M flares into that model. So we are going to see some geomagnetic storm activity faux show in the coming days. And let's take a look at the official detailed forecast, showing that geomagnetic activity to peak at a moderate geomagnetic storm here for about 12 hours on October 4th. So keep a close eye on that. If it is going into nighttime, we're going to have an aurora watch. And so the aurora is going to light up, and we might see aurora at low latitudes in North America. So heads up, the sun is getting quite active. Now, we have some hilarious green agenda saving the planet nonsense to talk about. And this has to do with UK power stations cutting down primary forests in Canada. Yeah. This company that receives billions of pounds in green energy subsidy is literally burning the forest, and they're calling it green. They're clear cutting the forest. Here you go. There it is. Old growth forest. One of the Drax forests is a square mile, including large areas that have been identified as rare old growth forests. At the rate of deforestation, the planet will have no trees in just about 20 years. And this is green energy? Clear-cutting forest to burn wood to move turbines. Mind-blowing. Now, oil prices could soon return to $100 as OPEC considers a historic cut. Now, here's the problem with this. We have so much oil on Earth. We have more oil than OPEC in the United States. We're just not accessing it. This is part of an agenda to bankrupt the world, to get you to switch over to their totally toxic, polluting, quote-unquote, Green New Deal. Completely mind-blowing. Now, if you want to know more about what's going on in the world that we can't share with you on this channel, welcome to Revolution Radio, where our show, Cosmic Catastrophe, begins Saturday, noon Eastern, 2 p.m. Mountain, in Studio B. The link will be below to Revolution Radio, where you simply just come in here at noon, click Studio B, and listen. We will have some call-in shows, and we're going to be talking about all taboo subjects that they don't allow on our other platforms. So we'll see you there, Saturday, noon Eastern Time. Studio B, Revolution Radio. And that's a boom to knowledge. Thanks to all our one-time donors, our Patreons, our new Patreons, and the heroes that share this video. We love you. Be safe.